Hey guys, it's Joey B. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Rise, Grind, Repeat podcast. This episode is brought to you by GHP Sport, the official sports supplement of the Rise, Grind, Repeat podcast. Use the word RISE, R-I-Z-E, at checkout to receive 15% off. Also, if you want a free copy of my Level Up Mindset Journal, go to risegrindrepeat.com. That's Rise with a Z, grindrepeat.com, or joeybonfiglio.com for details. Once again, thank you so much and enjoy the show. So I'll count us down. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, Rise, Grind, Repeat podcast. Great friend, clinical therapist, high school, college teammates and roommates, Matt Stauffer. How are you, buddy?
How you doing, Joe? How's everything down there in Florida?
Great. Hey, listen, tough week though. Tough week. Eddie Van Halen. We lost a great one, and it's been tough.
It's like, as a guy who, such an icon, from those early days, being, early 80s, all the way up, one of the best of all time. Just really sad. Obviously, best guitar, you think back on even just, putting the Beat It, doing the,
Beat It.
doing solo and Beat It. He was amazing. It's been a tough year, 2020. Obviously I've been a huge Rush fan myself, losing Neil Peart, yeah, and Eddie Van Halen. So there's no more Rush and no more Van Halen. That's a tough pill to swallow. 2020 is eating people up, and it's not good.
Well, what I wanted to mention too was you probably don't even know. So Van Halen's like obviously my favorite band, but you probably don't know. What got me into Van Halen was the car rides to school when you picked me up and you had the 5150 cassette tape, in the car. And it was just like, that was when I was like, really got into them. I mean, the 1984 cassette, Matt Stone, we talked about Matt Stone, who too. When we were kids, growing up, dude, he had the cassette 1984 with the babies, with a pack of cigarettes and stuff. It was, it was, so it's just weird. This year is just
tough. Yeah, it was tough. Like I said, early on, I was, in the early 80s, I had neighbors. A lot of the neighbors of mine were older. They had the feathered hair, the feathered earrings, and they, with the. So like I was in the early stuff, Mean Street, those early years, Diver Down, all those early stuff, and then obviously Sammy came in, and unbelievable stuff. OU 812 is great, so huge for me. It was actually transformational for me. It was when I needed something, and I was actually, not to get too far into it, but I was trying to work out and trying to do some things, and I would put on every single morning. I'd put OU 812 with Mine All Mine, and the second song was When It's Love.
When It's Love,
And then I think, and so
Feel So Good. I've been listening to that recently, dude. It's
Cabo Wabo.
Yeah. I used to listen to that when we would walk to at Johnson, when we were at Johnson and Wales and walking to class and stuff. I'd had the headphones on. You remember, the tape deck and,
it's tough. It's tough. But what's the good part about someone is the music can never die. So, you can, unfortunately he's gone, but the music will be there forever. So you always get to listen. So that's a good thing, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, I just to start this off, first I just want to say, through, again, we're talking about COVID and stuff, and we've been friends for a long time, but obviously we got families and stuff, and we kind of, we'd catch up maybe once a year. We'd run into each other or whatever, and through, through what's kind of great about COVID is we've reconnected really because of, Zoom and the time we've had to, to kind of be at home and just rekindle that friendship that we've had. And it's I think we just haven't skipped a beat. And one of the things I want to mention too is just the talking to you, just in general is just infectious. It's like, and that goes back to even youth hockey and everything with I just know anytime you're coming over and whatever, it's just
Mm,
like, all the moms especially was like, oh, I love Matt and this and that, and it's just because you were so personal. It's like you would always come in and just light up the room like, hey, Mrs. B, how you doing, blah blah blah, and you were very, you'd always touch on, hey, what, chicken parm or what, it's like you always
yeah,
made it very, personal, and you'd remember, those key things that made
yeah,
everybody special and unique. And, and it's just, like I said, it's infectious to be around you. And one of the things, especially for me, and we'll get into our, kind of our friendship and kind of how that evolved. But, one of the things I was very introverted, especially heading into high school. And, once we really became closer friends through hockey, even though we played youth
yeah,
hockey, um, I was always just like kind of quiet and to
yeah,
myself or whatever. And you had, that great personality, and that helped me, kind of, cause I was kind of awkward in social situations until like our, just hanging out and being, together. And so that was just one of the things that I don't think I've ever told you
yeah.
that. And I
Well, that
appreciate that about you, really,
Yeah, those are kind, obviously very kind words, Joe. I really appreciate that, and like you said earlier, kind of touching on, we really, even though we played hockey, I've obviously known you all, our whole life, 5 years old up playing youth hockey, winning 2 championships together, right?
yeah.
Just a shout out to Joe, game winner, overtime against a team that beat us all year, and we beat
Oh,
them
yeah.
3-0. Joey got the overtime winner. We were down 2-0 in that game and going into the deep into the second period. So that was good. But I think kind of what you touched on, I don't think we were really that close in the sense that until freshman year.
Yeah.
Freshman year, and I think the biggest thing was, I grew up playing defense. My whole life, Ray Bork was my idol. I played defense all the way up, and when we walked into tryouts at Fermi, the coaches said, "Well, if we got plenty of D here, you want to play, you got to play forward." To me, and that's where I think that's what changed everything for you and I,
Yeah.
because then I played on your wing, and that's right at a young age, at that freshman year. That's when things all changed in our friendship. I think we became, that's where our friendship really became to blossom, and we both had that drive to work harder and to do whatever it took to learn from the older guys, appreciate the atmosphere we were in. Obviously, we won a state championship that year. We were only freshmen, and we played in the regular season, but just to learn and to be there. And I think it set the tone for obviously our career, not only there, but our freshman year at Johnson Wales, where we did well, man. We
Yeah.
won. We were the best club hockey team in New England, right?
Yeah.
I guess
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Well,
we won the championship. So
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's another story. I mean, we should have probably went to nationals with a 19-1-1 record, but I guess we won't talk politics there.
politics,
Yeah,
politics.
but
Damn
yeah. I
right.
mean, even going back to that, it's like, we were very fortunate to be on that team with all the veterans that really,
Mm,
you know embraced us and allowed us to, they ribbed us when they had to. And
yeah,
but um but there was a big freshman class too.
yeah,
And we kind of had to work hard to, kind of separate ourselves a little bit from, if we wanted to play and stand out and stuff. And that was what was great. It's like
yeah.
we took on the
Yep.
challenge, and we encourage each other and work together. And
Yeah.
whether that was running or working out. And
Yeah.
but yeah. And the fact that we were able to take that to in playing college together too. Well, let's say even take a step back. What's interesting about playing together was, for here you played defense your whole life. I was on the wing. I played wing my whole life. And my dad actually was like, hey, when you go out for tryouts, he goes, put down, try out for center, be a center because what he noticed in youth hockey was anytime there was a power play or a shorthanded situation, the center always kind of stayed out. So it was always the center and one wing. So I was always rotated out at some point. You know, it's like it was like either it was 50-50. I'm either in or out being a wing. So that helped my hockey career post in high school. But what was great was once we started skating together on a line, it was like this chemistry that we had.
Right.
I just saw an article about the Sedin twins in Vancouver, and it was like we had this telepath, like we didn't even have to talk to each other, but we knew where each other were all the time. And we put together some amazing goals that, a lot. It's not just like these lucky plays or whatever. And it's, so it's just nice that we had this kinship that almost like, so that was great. And, so let's talk about, post college. So you went to your dad's, you started with Stauffer sheet metal.
I'll tell you, so I just to kind of give you a little background. You and I went to Johnson Wales marketing. I left after the first year because I wanted to be a teacher. So I came home. I tried junior hockey. I got injured really bad. I blew my shoulder out pretty bad in junior hockey while I was going. I was transitioning from Asnuntuck, which is a community college, to Westfield State. And I knew that my career as far as that was done, and so I went to Westfield State as a history major, secondary ed, to be a high school teacher, and coached a lot. I helped out gave back. I was the head tennis coach at Fermi for like 3 years. My senior year at Fermi, I was ranked 11th. I was ranked 11th in the state in Class L in tennis, but I blew my ankle out playing pickup basketball.
I remember that. Senior day at High Meadow.
I was playing pickup basketball my senior year, ranked 11th in the state for tennis, and blew it out, and that was a wrap. I didn't even.
When we went to states, because I was playing doubles with Eric Wisgo, was that So you didn't play?
Yeah, I played. So my junior year, I played number one singles for my junior year. And I think
played that dude that looked like Ivan Drago, dude. Right?
Yeah, I played. I got to the I got to like I think the semis my junior year, and I'm going against kids. I mean, I was like a rag'em tag'em blue collar, but I was good. But I was
good. No, you were.
These kids are playing, 4 seasons in clubs, and I'm like, it was funny. I'll never forget. They did an article on me my junior year, and it was about how I played tennis. My mom taught me in the circle, and all this. And I had like a Rush t-shirt. Like I didn't even dress up. Like all these guys were all like tucked in and stuff. And like my JI Journal Inquirer for you guys out there, the Journal Inquirer article had me like taking a thing with a Roll the Bones Rush concert t-shirt on. You know what I'm saying?
Awesome.
Like, so yeah, I didn't not to get too far. Yeah. So anyways, tennis there, I coached tennis, and I then went to Westfield State. I finished Westfield State. But I knew I didn't want to teach. I felt like I wanted to help kids. I wanted to help people, but I didn't feel connected. I didn't like the politics and the ministry. I just wasn't, I just didn't feel right about teaching, which was tough, but I knew so that was that. So right after I graduated in 98, I ended up that summer, late in that summer, not, working at the Olive Garden. Worked through college. I worked many jobs, but I always worked when I was going to school. I met my wife, Shannon, and Shannon and I ended up over Labor Day weekend in 98. We ended up getting together, and long story short, we moved to Newport within like 6 months. I mean, it was quick. So we moved to Newport, and I was waiting tables in Newport. And I did that for not too long, and we were poor, didn't have any money. And so we knew I had to get something else, right? And I got a job. I got a job as a recruiter, headhunter for jobs. And that job was, I would commute to Warwick, Rhode Island, And my boss there was awesome. He was the same age as me, and he was a good guy. And I was recruiting for a couple of years there. It was a really good job. I enjoyed it. It was kind of like making a lot of phone calls and doing a lot of things.
Yeah.
And and my wife she was working at Brown University as a research assistant in the psych department, because she had an undergrad in psychology. And so we ended up moving to Providence. So that felt good, because it was like back to home. I was like, this is good. We moved right outside Providence right outside Johnston, which is
Johnson, yep.
right on the outside. Me and you would drive through it every time we would go home.
Yeah.
It was right through Johnston. And so we were there, and it was time to move home. Shannon got into Smith College and get her graduate work done to get her master's in social work. So we moved home, got engaged, and at that point, she was doing her thing, and I had to make some money. So my dad's business was very good. It was HVAC company, sheet metal company. And I was doing some headhunting in West Springfield, and it just wasn't going well, and I just didn't really enjoy it anymore. And I remember having a conversation with my dad. He met me out at like I don't know, Ruby Tuesdays or Ground Round in West Springfield, and we sat down, and I said, I want to come work for you, and I want to be part of the company. And my brother was already there, and one of my best friend Tony, they were running it. They were younger than me, but they were there, and I had done the work, as in high school. But so went there, and for 13 years,
Wow.
13 years worked there. And I did the office work, but I was crawling around attics, and I was blue collar, and I was very green going in, and with the hammer, the drill, I was pretty green. And over 14 years of being in the field, I feel like I learned a lot about different things and construction. And so that was that.
Yeah.
And then the body takes its toll. I'm 45 now. I think, my wife and I had a conversation, and said, I really should, I want to help people, my passion, and I love what my dad did for me, and my brother and Tony, and working, but my passion was to help people. And I saw my wife had her private practice, and I just wanted to help. I wanted to be a therapist. So at 37, maybe, I went back, applied to grad school, Springfield College, scared out of my mind, because I wasn't that great of a student. I was kind of like, I really wasn't that great of a student, and I did okay. My grades looked all right, but I don't know how. I don't know if it was just smooth. Professors. I was looking at my grade average. It was actually pretty good. I was like, I don't even know how.
Do you remember freshman?
Was I bringing in cookies for the teachers? Because I don't think I read a book, man.
Remember freshman year of high school when I think it was like the weekend before, or I think we were playing the state championship game like the next day, and we had to do a report on Sir Lancelot or something. We were at the library, and then the next week they made us read what we wrote, and we totally just like we couldn't even read what we wrote, because it was like right out of, we're like, "Sir, thou art," because we just wanted to get it done.
Well, her name was Mrs. Candy. What was the professor?
Was it Miss Lyons?
Candy. No. I saw her at Home Goods or Home Sense.
She ended up being a guidance counselor, right?
I think you're right.
Yeah.
And anyway, so we just to touch base on what you said. So when we won that state championship our freshman year, I basically didn't do anything. Yeah. That was it. Like from playoffs, like right after when we started going into the playoffs, right after the new year, February, January, February of 90, I basically said, no more work for Matt, and I'm not going to do anything. I'm just going to ride this wave. So what happened was my freshman year, I got 3 Ds, and I got kicked off the tennis team for grades my freshman year.
Oh no!
And I'll never forget. I had to go home. I got
a D in that class. I mean, I remember that class. I was like, oh,
But the funny part was remember Matt, Matt, what was his name? We were double partnered. We both got kicked off on the same day. We both didn't make grades.
Oh no. Who? Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah. It was funny. Anyways, but yeah. So yeah, going, kind of jumping.
Back grad school. Yeah.
Yeah, so I went into grad school, want to be a therapist, and you know what? I'll tell you, my wife was amazing. She, it was a 3 year weekend. It was a 3 year weekend program, with two internships. Um, so it was busy. So on the weekends, every weekend I would go there. It was 9 to 3, 9 to 4. So Saturday and Sundays I were gone for 3 years, and then I would put in my internships during the week, kind of with working at Stauffer Sheet Metal, the family business, and I was at Hartford Hospital, and pretty amazing. So I another connection like hockey, So I ended up getting with Kevin Cobb. Kevin
Okay.
was a friend. Yeah, so Kevin was a friend of mine. He's a therapist, and he was leaving an internship, and he knew a woman by the name of Stephanie at Hartford Hospital in the dialysis department, and he linked me up. It's funny how like sports,
Yeah.
I think that's the big thing about sports is like when I tell people like it's not so much about the sport, it's about most of my look at me, you and I, right?
Yeah.
I tell these because I'm a therapist and a lot of the adolescents, I'm like your connections with the sports and the things it's you don't realize how important it is to have those connections because like I said, Kevin got me involved at the internship there, and I was there for the first year, um, and then the second year I was in the cancer center, which was unbelievable.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. Yeah. So I
Yeah.
did two internships. I wasn't planning on doing two internships at Hartford Hospital. I wanted to but I went and shadowed someone for one day at the cancer center, and I went home and I just felt like numb. I was
Yeah.
numb of what I saw and how I was absolutely numb. And I went and I said, I want to go. And they took me on as another intern for my second year at Hartford Hospital in the cancer center. So yeah, it was deep.
Yeah. I remember running into around that time when you were doing all that and you were telling me everything you were doing and I was just thinking like the sacrifice you had to make to make all that work. I mean,
Yeah.
between school, doing the internship plus working, starting to raise a family. So just the fact that, you were able to do that and be successful and it's just a testament to your work ethic for sure,
Yeah. I appreciate that. Yeah. I mean, again, when you get older, you start to think about, what you want to do for this world and life and, how you want to make an impact in some form or whatever. And, like you don't want to, you don't want to waste time, I guess, and then I became a really good student. It was crazy because I really enjoyed the work. I enjoyed reading about human behavior. I enjoyed, about all those things. So I actually, I did really, really well in grad school where, because I was more determined because it was what I wanted
It
to
was your
do. And
you found your purpose, and
correct,
yeah,
correct.
I think, looking back, in my journey too, it's like, here after our connection at Johnson and Wales, I left to go to Franklin Pierce because they had a good communication department, and that's what I want to do is
Yeah.
behind the scenes. I wasn't really into broadcasting or anything like that, but which is ironic because now I'm kind of doing that. But it's
Right.
more about making videos, and I really want to work for ESPN behind the scenes, and I thought that'd
Yeah.
be the cool gig because I made those highlight tapes when I was 12,
Oh
and
my God, you're
everybody
talented.
and share
Yeah.
it with you guys and the team. And so, but what was interesting was I couldn't get a job. It was tough to get into ESPN. So then I went to Connecticut School of Broadcast because they had a relationship with ESPN. Plus they had 96% job placement or whatever. So sure enough, right after I
Yeah.
got out, I didn't get the ESPN wasn't hiring at the time, but I got a job at doing like camera work and audio work for Master Control for a live TV mass, right? Of all
Okay.
things, but I was commuting to like Bridgeport, not Bridgeport, Bloom. It was a Bridgeport. Geez, now I can't even remember. But it was a long commute from Enfield. It was like a 50-minute drive, traffic every day
Yeah.
for like no money for basically like $7 an hour. And then I met Sandy, and we're like, we were thinking about, we're getting married, buy a house. And I'm like, we can't get a house and I'm making $7 an hour. So I had to get a quote unquote real job. And that's where I ended up going to Aetna, and, I was doing IT work, and I don't want to say like lost my way, but it was like, that wasn't anything I was passionate about. Then I ended up, doing a couple other 9-to-5 jobs. And it wasn't until after my dad passed away where things started clicking. It's like, what am I doing? It's like life is so precious that I'm like, I can't, and then like the world kind of got smaller. I'm in this cubicle and I'm like typing away, and I'm like, what, like 8 hours a day. And, obviously you're mingling with people and friends, and, but it's like, it just, and that's where I knew it's like, I have to just kind of rethink things and get my life in order. And I was overweight and all this other stuff. And that's what got me on this track to like, once I started taking care of myself and figuring out like getting out of that anxiety and depression I was in, it was like, it clicked, and I'm like, wait, I got to share this, like the process of how I did it. I'm like, I got to share this with, and that's similar to you. It's like, I want to just help. I want to help people. I just want to,
and it works. It does. What it really does. The routine. I mean, it actually, what the routines and stuff like that, it's huge. It's really, really big. And I think, whether we, when you talk about having a routine, and again, we've talked about this, about how anxiety and people who have anxiety, a lot of it is that the uncertainty of what's going on. And if you take some of that out, if you know what you're going to do, and again, I mean, we're not robots. I understand, we understand that, but like, if you take out some of that uncertainty and you have some sort of really good structure, then you're not as anxious. You're not, and it really is huge. Like a lot of my clients, I talk to them about having a routine. And again, we're not robots. We had things happen and things, but if you have a good routine, whatever that is, whether that's self-care, that's work, diet, exercise, whatever it is, reading, whatever it is, if you have a good routine that's pretty consistent, you find that the anxiety kind of like, you can manage it better, because you're not like, well, what's going on? I feel anxious. I don't know when I'm going to do this. I don't know when I'm going to do that. And that's kind of like that. Your journal and the mindset journal really helped me, because it kind of set me. It didn't have to be everything at once. It is just okay. Just do a little bit at a time and make a good structured. And it really helped me in a time with COVID, like you said, where I was kind of floundering a little bit. I mean, I was doing well with the business, but I didn't feel like my life was. I felt like it was a little like everybody else.
Right.
It really helped me focus on, okay, you do this and this and this and this. And you were always kind to say, look, it doesn't matter. Just try to, it's the marathon, right? You're not it's the long,
it's small, right. It's small incremental steps over time. And I think that's even, when I had my weight issue and the anxiety and stuff, it was like, I would, you'd work out for a couple of weeks, and then it's like, you don't see any results, and then you kind of give up or whatever. But it's like, the more research I start, I'm like, well, there's got to be a different way. There's got to be. I've tried this, for 20 something years, and it's like, you can only run so many miles and do, so it was, putting it all together with diet, exercise, but also like, it's not beating yourself up if you have a bad day. Just going, okay, well, tomorrow's another day. Just try not to put 2 consecutive like bad days, if you will, back to back. But it was just more about just incrementally, like, this has to be a lifestyle. So you can't like go all in all at once and go from, not working out and eating cheeseburgers and all this to then eating salads and work, and killing yourself on the treadmill or whatever. It's like, what's manageable on a daily basis that you can maintain, that's going to get you to where you want to be, and then you got to set some goals to pursue. Because all the research and again, all this stuff kind of happened. Like it's almost like I backwards engineered. Like I was doing this stuff without really a lot of research. I just started filling myself up with positive energy and music, and I kind of stopped watching the news and all, like, some of the, people I was hanging out with, if they weren't lifting me up, it's like, all right, I'm going to kind of not hang out with them as much. And it was all those small actions that turned the corner for me. And then once I had this epiphany where I wasn't stressed, I was telling my buddy at work, I'm like, he knew how stressed I was. I'm like, dude, I woke up one day and it was like for a couple days straight, it's like nothing bothered me. It was just rolling off my back. And then that's when I started doing the research to say, why was this happening in a good way, in a good way. Sure. And that's why I'm like, I got to just share this kind of technique because it worked for me. But I didn't know if it would work for anyone else, but, and that's why, connecting with you and seeing that it was also benefiting you as well. I'm like, oh, this is great because, it's working for someone else, especially, with our connection. It's like,
Absolutely. And like I said, I use the, a lot of the concepts in my therapy, and it really comes down to the routines and stuff. And again, people like it because, obviously, again, with the anxiety or whatever their life is, we work on that. And it seems to be, well, it's working well. They, everyone seems to be doing better, I guess, you know what I'm saying? With a good routine, and, again, it's not always perfect. It's not perfect science, but it's the long haul. Just, what are the things that, even before you and I talked, I always ask people, and this was even when because I worked at a clinic, because I worked at a methadone clinic in Springfield for 4 years. Best job ever. I enjoyed it. Really, really interesting. And the thing is there, a lot of the goals were around getting off of methadone and doing that. So like I started saying, okay, well, what do you see? Do you want to be on methadone in 10 years? And they would say, no, God, no, I definitely not. Well, do you want to be on in 5 years? No. Okay, well, and it was like this goal setting thing. Cause I would say, okay, so, and that's kind of like with what I say now, I'm like, you should have some sort of goal, like in your life. And I remember watching, like, I don't even know, I think it was Arnold Schwarzenegger said, like, if you don't have a goal, then how do you know how to get there? Everyone wants to get somewhere, but if you don't know where you're even going, right?
Right. Yeah. He said that a pilot without direction, you're just going to be flying around in circles if you don't have a destination to,
So like, so what I try to do, whether it's couples therapy or, with couples, a lot of times marriage counseling or couples, a lot of times I'll say, well, what do you guys talk about your goals? And it doesn't have to be, it could be just like, it could be, what's our goals to go on vacation? Our goal is to get a carpet for the bedroom. Our goal is to graduate our kids from high school. Like whatever they are. I mean, like there should be some sort of collaboration. And when two people sit down and say, okay, what are the things that we want? You then at least and if they don't meet, if they don't agree, then that's where you kind of like hash it out and say, okay, well, well, I want this and I want this. And that's where I come in.
Right.
But you should at least have that coming in. You should at least know what you want out of life, and if you have vast differences in what the end result is, then we got to kind of come to what is it. But
well, it's funny. It's and it's funny that you mentioned that too. And I think it just makes me think about my marriage too. And it's like I think the reason me and Sandy work so well together is because we do talk about our goals and try and help each other with those goals too. So I could see where if two people are on opposite ends of the spectrum and kind of don't aren't seeing eye to eye on the direction they want to take either themselves or their family, and I could see where that's where it could get dicey. But that's fantastic, like advice in general. It's like awesome, brother, awesome, man. I mean, this is it's great to to reconnect, and I'm glad we started so the audience knows, it's like we're back on just these weekly calls just to touch base and
Yeah.
stay connected. And I'm down here in Florida, and you're up in Connecticut, but it's just it doesn't feel like that,
No,
and
no.
just being able to reconnect has been great. And I joke around because after this COVID thing is over and stuff, because obviously I still got family, and Sandy has family up there. We've already kind of mapped out every year going up there for the summer, so it's gonna be great to reconnect when I get up there and get on the ice together. That's the other thing too that was great about high school was, and I think we talked about it a little bit, was because we were in marketing, we
Yeah.
had the co-op. So everybody that took marketing, they were supposed to, you would get out early your senior
Yeah.
year. So you get out at noon, and
Yeah.
you're supposed to, some people went to work right away, or some people had jobs at 7 o'clock at night or whatever.
Right.
But that was
Right.
part of the benefit. So me and you, we get out
Yeah.
at noon, we grab, we'd stop at your house, grab a snack, head over to the rink,
Yeah.
and, play a couple video games, jump on the ice. I mean, I forget her name.
Gene. Well,
Jean Bridge. Yeah. Jean.
yeah.
We would get on the
She
ice
didn't care.
She didn't care.
Well, our practices started. It was either 2:30, 2:40, or 2:50.
2:50. Yeah.
Once in a great while, it'd be a 3:10, but it was either 2:30, 2:40, 2:50.
Yeah.
You and I would be on the ice at like 2.
Yeah, maybe even earlier, dude. Maybe even earlier.
I mean, but they would let us on the ice. She would be like, we'd go on the ice at 2:00. We would have an hour. We'd have an hour in
every day.
We were on the ice before the rest of the team was out of class.
Yeah.
Before they were even out of class, we were on the ice.
Yeah.
And we'd be playing games and practicing, and that's the difference. That's why you and I had, 68, 72 points in 20 games our senior year. You know what I'm saying? We had 70, whatever. I mean, that's a lot of points.
That's a lot of points,
You're averaging, a lot of points. So, but it was because we enjoyed just being out there together playing, and doing that, unless we fall in a pond, in St. Martha's before a game.
Yeah, that was we'll tell that quick story. We got somebody again. I think it might have been Dawn. Somebody signed us out of school early.
Yeah, might have been Dawn polishing.
It might have been, yeah. And it was like 10 o'clock. We had a Wednesday night game against Manchester, and we're like, hey, let's get out. Yeah, we're like, let's get out of here. And so we went and got our skates and played some pond hockey at St. Martha's. And boy, that ice was not frozen solid, huh?
No. I remember. I'll never forget. I remember that it was actually it was snowing out sideways, and me and you went across the ice. I don't even know. Like you said, it was probably 12 o'clock on a Wednesday. We got out early. We got signed out. We went because we're going to go play hockey before our game. We had a game at, we had to be on the bus at like, 3 or 4 o'clock or something. You and I go on the ice, and I'll never forget it. I look at you, you go in the ice, you're down to your chest, you're holding on like this. And as soon as you go down, I go in with one leg. I go down to my hip and one leg. We jump out, go to my car, and we're just like frozen solid.
Well, meanwhile, my jersey is like cardboard because it's like frozen. Our skate laces are frozen. Like
get them off.
You couldn't even get them off. So we're in your car trying to get the heat going and defrost our. So meanwhile, my feet are freezing. We're like, if we had, if we had,
then we go to the bus. We're in the locker room at Bolton there in Bolton Ice Palace there. And I just remember looking at you like laughing, like, look at our crap. It's soaking wet.
I remember I brought them home and put them right next to like the radiator, just to and they were still wet. They were still cold and wet before that game. And it was just like, these guys even knew,
Yeah. No, it was good times. It was good. And again, it's a testament to how, we could have went and, again, I hate to say it, played video games. We went and played hockey. We went out. We got out of even though we had a game, we had to be on that ice. We went and said, "Oh, let's go to the pond."
Yeah.
We just wanted to be on the ice. I actually grew up on that pond and walking there. I lived about 2 miles from St. Martha's.
Yeah.
And every Saturday You know, I would go down there after hockey because we probably had even, you know, or a practice in the morning usually, and I'd go if it was frozen, and I would play all day. My dad would, you know, I would play all day long, you know, 6, 7 hours, and my
Yeah.
dad would come down and he would bring a bag of, he would bring whoever there, he'd go down to he'd go to like Burger King and get like a bag of cheeseburgers
That's
and like one of
awesome.
those gallons of that juice that you get at the store for 99 cents. It's just sugar. You
Yeah.
know,
It's
and
like, it was orange. It was like the orange. Yeah.
yeah, you know, he would throw in, you know, you know, we'd be there for, you know, hours and hours and hours and just couldn't, you know, that's where you develop those skills and to, you know, it was fun. Pond
Well,
hockey, man.
well, you know, what's interesting. So I went to St. Martha's in elementary school. So the reason I started playing hockey was, so Selena Komet was in my class, and Billy was a grade older, and she would always talk about Billy playing hockey. And one day, and I think Billy Newson was a grade younger, like he was in a,
Yeah,
you know, in St. Martha is a small, you know, it's a small school, so there's only two people that played hockey, and you know,
right.
and
I got kicked out of CCD over there because of hockey.
CCD, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So, well, we,
I'd show up late. My dad would be
buddy,
like, we got to go to CCD. So we'd go over there and the teacher would be so mad. And I said, you know, I think I'm like, my religion's hockey, man.
dude, dude, me and Weller were in the same class. So second grade, we had a, I think Sister Teresa. I must have got eight demerits, like,
Oh yeah.
because me and Weller would just, you know, fool around all the time. But yeah, so Billy. So if it wasn't for, like, you know, Selena and Billy, so what happened was, I don't, like, we would get handouts, and one day we got this. Remember the ice chips, this with Snoopy on top at the
Oh
Twin
yeah.
Rinks? Anytime they'd
I think my
they'd
mom
have all
still
the
has.
scores.
Yeah.
So that they pass that around school, and I'm like, and I brought it home to my dad, and I'm like, hey Dad, I got this at school, and he's like, do you want to play? And I'm like, not really, I don't think so. And I remember leaving the room, and then I came back. I'm like, you know what? You know, Selena's brother Billy plays, and you know, back then when you're that young, you kind of look up to the older kids or whatever that were in your school and stuff. I'm like, yeah, Billy plays, you know, and so he's
Yeah.
like, all right, we'll give it a shot, and that was it, man. That's what
Yeah. So
started me.
Billy, you know, when I look back on my life competition wise, Billy was my best friend
Yeah,
growing up. Billy was he lived about 5 houses down the street.
I remember.
He was
Yeah,
a goalie,
Birchwood. You
and
guys,
yeah, Birchwood, yeah, right down the street. And Billy and I, you know, it was just we played everything, and my competitiveness came out of Billy. Like,
yeah,
he was a goalie. We would fight. We would play Nerf, wiffle ball. His dad, God rest his
awesome.
soul, Mr.
He's
Komet,
awesome.
passed away
Yeah,
too, you know, many years ago. But
yeah,
Selena, the great family. I played with Bill, and like I don't know if certain people like you and Billy if didn't come into my life, I don't know if I would have been as successful. Billy was a huge factor just because of the competitiveness. I mean, like,
yeah,
we always fought. And we
yeah,
fought and we'd get in fights and we wouldn't talk for a day or two, and then we'd go, you want to throw the football around? You know, like,
yeah.
or he was goalie, so I always had someone to shoot at, you know,
That's
and
big. Yeah.
it was great. You know, I had a goalie, and Billy was funny. You know, he was a classic goalie. You
Oh
know,
yeah, yeah.
classic goal.
Well,
A little,
the thing that was great was, like, when finally playing in high school, because I think he was always like 2 years ahead of me.
well,
So youth hockey, we never were able to be on the same team.
what he should have been, because he was a goalie. When he should have graduated and when he graduated. I love
Yeah,
you, boy, but
yeah,
he would
yeah,
hide his test. I remember I went over his house one time, and he would, like, instead of just throwing the tests away that he failed, he put them under, like, the couch, and, like, the mom, you know, Mrs.
yeah.
Komet, Belinda,
Yeah,
she
Belinda.
found
Yeah.
them all, right? She found them all one day. I remember showing up, and, like, she had, like, a stack of all his tests under the. I was like, you should just throw them down the drain store, man. Like, why would you put them under our couch?
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know. Anyways.
Yeah, great times, man. I mean, I agree. It's like, I look at Coach Paul Matier too, that freshman year when, I mean, we had just come off the state championship playing youth, and you talk about me scoring that goal. I mean, that was big for me. That gave me confidence because, like, I think you and, like, there was like you, Schultze, Burnsy, you guys, because we would always it would be like 2 years in each division, right? Squirt,
Yeah.
Pee-wee. In my first year in each of those, I always never made the A. It was always B. Then my second year, I'd make the A. And so I was, I was always like third line player, whatever. But that, for whatever reason, it's like that goal, gave me a little bit more confidence going into the off season, heading into high school. But Coach Paul Mateer gave us that opportunity. I think, it's like I remember that drill, like that a lot of guys were having a hard time with, and he called me and you to the front of the line. He's like, watch these guys do it. And it was like, oh
As
shit,
freshmen, right?
as
Yeah.
freshmen,
Yeah.
and just giving us that vote of confidence,
Yeah.
also like just the
Yeah.
trajectory that we took, I think, helped a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, yeah. I mean, he gave us the chance when we could, and like our team was so good that we were fortunate to get out there and play because we had some. I mean, Bruno Bemis,
Yeah.
McCormick, Gavro, and we had a great
All
team,
those
great
guys.
team. And so White
Whitey.
Snake,
Oh, Whitey.
we had a great team, and so we were fortunate. We were able to get up on teams. Some of the local CC's teams, I hate to say it, Rockville, Manchester, we'd beat them up pretty good. So the freshmen, sophomores would get a chance,
Good
and
time,
I
yeah.
think we held our own. So yeah, it was a good times. It was different times. Those the 80s and 90s, man.
Yeah,
You can't
yeah.
you can't beat them. You can't beat them.
You can't, yeah, and especially with everything that's going on, in the world
Yeah,
now. It's just like, and it's weird because it's like I think back to like my parents too, and I think they say that every generation kind of says the same thing. I think they
yeah,
romanticize about,
sure.
it was better then, it was better back then, and but I just think, yeah, I mean, some of the things that we were able to do, like, getting on the ice early, like now
Yeah,
you could
never happened.
like you coached after I coached Enfield High a few years back, and it's like liability wise, you couldn't get away with
No,
kids going on the ice without, and
without
supervision.
adults,
Another, yeah,
never,
I mean,
never.
think about it. It was me, you, and Gene Bridge in that building, and it
Yeah,
was, but it was like, just looking back, that time, just priceless. It's like the extra time, especially for hockey. It's like, it's not like any other sport where you can just go shoot hoops at any park, and you know what I mean, or throw the football
yeah,
around on. It's like you need ice in order to work on your skating, and
yeah,
the timing and all that stuff. And going back even earlier to what you were talking about, like the locker room stuff, and those connections and those friendships that you make. It's funny because I was playing last night down here in Jacksonville, and this new team, new friends that meet down here, and we're drinking a couple beers afterwards, and the guy says, this is what it's all about. It's not even about what's winning on
yeah,
the ice or whatever. It's
yeah,
it's almost like we spend more time. The games last an hour, but we end up hanging out for an
yeah,
hour and a half, 2 hours,
yeah. You're,
3 hours,
you're drinking, yeah, you're hanging out more longer than the ice time.
yeah, yeah,
That's
and it's
that's men's league hockey for you.
yeah, yeah, and
It's
so that's it's just it's great to have that as kind of like a foundation, I guess, of our journeys.
yeah.
You know.
No, absolutely. It's been and I took a long time off of playing because my hip, I had some injuries. Went back to school, and so I play with my brother now, and it's good.
I know the timing, all those years I was playing, I'm like,
I
when's
know,
Matt gonna play? Like,
I
and I knew
know.
I knew you had the shoulder, the shoulder issue, but I thought, I honestly, and I think you had said at one point when we connected, you're like, oh, I got rid of all my stuff. Like, I don't even have,
Yeah,
and I'm like, oh wow,
wow,
but
yeah,
now that you're skating again, I'm like, of
yeah.
course, I'm like, now I'm down here, but
Well, I don't
we'll
like to commit. I like to commit. I don't. A
no,
lot
no,
of times it is one of those things where between the grad school and I had a chrome hip, I had a
yeah,
hip resurface put in, amazing surgery there. It was time. It was time to dust it off, to pull, to get the old, to get the engine going again. But again, I always told people I'm not one of these guys. If I commit to the sport, if I commit to a team, I'm going to be there. And
yeah,
I don't. I'd had people say, "Oh, you want to play?" And I was like, I don't want to say yes if I can't. So I'm playing now, and it's good to play, and I get to play with my brother, who is great. It's great.
yeah.
I miss you. I miss playing
Well,
with you, and we'll play, but yeah, it's good to play with
yeah.
my brother. My
Yeah,
mom,
no,
without COVID, before COVID, it was funny. Like my mom would be in the stands, like all the other team, like who's that lady? And now they all know her. Like, my mom would be sitting there. It'd be like a 10 o'clock game, and she'd be sitting there watching,
with
cheering.
the
Like
blanket on, yeah.
your two
But
boys are on the ice. Those are my boys. My boys.
that's
Little Italian lady out there, beautiful. So it is fun. It's cute. It's cute. And my uncle Louis, he comes. He's got his Bruins jack. He's got his Bruins jack. He
oh,
comes into the
Louis
locker
great.
room. They throw him a beer, and he's talking to everyone, and everyone's like, "Hey, where's your uncle?" And it's like my mom and my uncle are, like
Great,
in
dude.
the locker room. It's great.
Yeah.
It's good. Yeah.
Well, it's like my kids came down to the first game too. It's like they're the only ones in the stands, like down here and stuff. But it's like it's cool that they want to see me play.
Yeah.
Because again I think in their head too. Like we'll watch NHL and they're like, "Is that your team?" I'm like, guys, like come on, like no, that's not. I'm not. This is adult league hockey, but
Right.
but but yeah, I mean that's it's nice to be able to keep going and keep skating
Yeah.
and be with the fellas and but yeah, I mean at some point we're gonna reunite and maybe that becomes we'll throw another podcast. We'll put some highlights of our the
Yeah.
reconnection 7-Eleven
Yeah.
that those are some fun
911.
9-1. Yeah, I mean, before 9/11 was a bad term. I mean, in college,
Yeah.
I was 9, you were 11, and it was cool. Some of our roommates and everything would make signs, 9/11, and
Yeah.
but yeah, man, it was hey, it's great catching up, and
Yeah.
again, thanks for doing the podcast and sharing,
Yeah.
your story, and it's just
Well,
it's
yeah.
great.
Well, like I said, I appreciate you having me, and like I said, I know, we talk, and in all honesty, I know, we, talking a lot about, different old stories and stuff. We could go on and on. I mean, we could literally sit here for hours and tell some. We kept it PG.
Yeah,
There's some really good ones that we can get into, but we're not gonna do that. But
yeah,
all seriousness, what you're doing, when I was kind of like I said, back when COVID started, I think COVID had, I think it's done some wonderful things, and I think it's done some horrible things, and I think it's made people think about their life. A lot of people are coming to therapy. A lot of people are changing careers. A lot of people are doing things, and obviously there's a lot of heartache and hardships too. So I feel really bad for that, and I think you came in at the right time when I was working and stuff, and everything was okay. But I think that I needed some structure in my life to be healthier. And because I think that, with COVID, a lot of people home doing things that aren't particularly healthy all the time. Um, it allowed me to like reset. You've got, you're a very good motivator, certainly a great listener. And it was really nice just to have that kind of person. I think I think you can help a lot of people. I think that what you do and what you stand for, I think it's always in the person's best interest. I think that you have a big heart, and I think that you have a lot to offer and help people. So, I know you do the podcast. I've watched a few, and I appreciate you having me on. But you just keep going, certainly helping people, working with the community, working with other people to, all it takes is helping one person to feel good
that's that.
about yourself.
Yeah, yeah,
That's where, that's what I do. I try to, whoever's sitting in front of me, whether it's a couple or an individual, kid, adult, whatever, I just want them to know that I'm on their team,
yeah,
and I'm going to help them out as best I can. And I'm going to work, I want to help them. I'm not, this is not, this is important work that I do. I never take it. I'm very humbled by it.
yeah.
I have a lot of gratitude for being able to. I worked hard to get here. But certainly what you and I connecting in the last 6 months again has really, really helped me refocus on, keeping, doing my work and keeping myself healthy. That way I can be good for others.
Well, I appreciate that, Matt, so much. I mean, words can't even like describe how much that means because, you know, along my journey, it's just like just like you said, like if just to be able to make an impact on one person is enough, and to know that, the one person is you, especially like, our deep friendship and stuff means more than, than I can put into words, or that you could know. So, I'm just grateful
Yeah.
for the time that we've been able to, reconnect over these past 6 months. And I've, I've looked up to you as a mentor. Like I said it earlier on the podcast, it's like I was very introverted, and probably socially awkward a little bit prior to high school, and just our friendship has allowed, me to grow as a person. And it's just something I always wanted to really, tell you, and now I've had the opportunity to tell you in this forum, and
it's heartwarming, Joe. That's nice. I appreciate that.
Yeah. So
I do.
Yeah, man. Hey, listen, again, appreciate your time, man. I love you, and
Love you too, buddy.
be well, and we'll talk soon.
Sounds good, man.
All right, man. Take care, man.
See ya. Thanks.
Escort the puck into the zone. Kirby is onside. Stauffer lifts it in a goal. Bonfilio's third goal of the game has given Fermi a 9-4 advantage.
And this is a beautiful, beautiful goal. Stauffer sliding down the left side, feathered the puck to Joe Bonfilio. And here we have a look. Bonfilio skating backwards.